Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Somewhere in the Middle with Michelle Berard. I'm your host, Michelle Berard, founder and CEO of Michelle A. Berard LLC. And I'm really pleased to share this hour with you where we examine all those places where spirit meets life and the joys and challenges that may bring. You guys know I like to start by thanking Ms. Beverly Black and Tribe Family Channel for helping me create this space for us. Tribe Family Channel is home to an assortment of thought-provoking shows that explore life, spirit, business, and culture, including Woman at the Well, hosted by Ms. Beverly Black herself. Somewhere in the Middle was born on Tribe Family Channel, and though we have grown onto our own platform, we are ever grateful and loyal to our roots. To paraphrase an African proverb, we are here only because we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. I want to thank my guests on the June 16th show, Teen Zekas, founder and CEO of Getting Black Women Paid. You can connect with Teen on social media and at her website, www.gettingblackwomenpaid.com. If you missed that show, make sure you listen to the replay. You can find our complete show archives, including the June 16th show, at the somewhereinthemiddlepodcast.com. I also want to shout out Bruce George of the Genius is Common movement, which encourages all of us to embrace our inner genius and share it with the world. It is really important that we share this message with the young people, but remember, it's not just for the youth. We all need to be reminded sometimes that the world needs our genius. Learn more about the Genius is Common movement at www.geniusiscommon.com. Now, this month's guest is an absolute joy to work with and converse with. Gael Wood is a massage and spa professional with over 25 years of experience in the industry. She graduated from massage school at the age of 19 and then went on to open her very own day spa and therapeutic massage center in 2003, which she ran for 6 years. In 2013, Gael launched her first online business, which she managed along with her career as a massage therapist. As the online business began to take off, she decided to retire from the hands-on massage work in 2016 and concentrate on using her extensive knowledge and experience to create tailored training and coaching materials and courses for estheticians and massage and spa professionals. Gael is the co-host and co-founder of the Global Wellness Professional Marketing Summits and the Work Freedom Summit. She was honored to be inducted into the World Massage Hall of Fame and featured as a Massage Magazine All-Star in 2019. Since giving up hands-on massage work and concentrating on her online businesses, Gael has been prolific with her creativity. To date, she has created over 60 successful online courses, launched popular massage and spa marketing content clubs, written and self-published more than 15 ebooks, and created a library of invaluable resources for massage, beauty, and spa professionals, such as the popular Massage and Spa Resource Bundles. Gael has always been fascinated by Feng Shui, which led her to study at the International Feng Shui School. In 2019, she gained certification in Feng Shui, enabling her to conduct consultations as another part of her business. She has since trained in life and business coaching through the Rebel Millionaire Coach Certification Program and completed her training in 2021. Most recently, Gael has created the Elevate Mastermind, a program for people who want to learn about adding an online business to their income streams or segue into online business. She currently runs a low-cost subscription program alongside this called the Monthly Challenge Club for Entrepreneurs, and she teaches online business strategy through the Elevate Mastermind. Gael is happiest in creator mode, finding new course ideas, marketing content, and books. She is constantly inspired to create more courses and materials and continues to launch new ideas. She loves to educate herself and discover new ideas, learning as much as possible through reading books, doing online research, and studying online classes and programs to boost her knowledge. Her one wish is that what she does can inspire others, and she aims to help as many people as possible thrive with her courses, books, and programs. Gael lives in Boone, North Carolina with her husband Dave and son Santino, who she has been homeschooling since March 2020. She also has an older daughter, Grace. So I'd like to welcome Gail Wood to Somewhere in the Middle with Michelle Berard. Gail, thank you so much for being on the show with me.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's so nice to meet you.
Well, I'm really excited because you actually have an interesting background and one that I love. And I want to kind of introduce the audience to who you are by asking two questions. So if you're ready, I will ask those two questions.
I'm as ready as I'm going to get.
All right. So Gail Wood, who are you and how did you become who you are today?
So who am I? I think that I'm a creative person, someone who just loves to always be creating, whether it's decorating a room or writing a book or planning a new class or a new business. So I'm just always creating. A lot of people tell me that I'm a good teacher. And so over time, I've realized that's actually true about me. So I think I have a knack for taking concepts that might be a little complicated. A specific example would be like marketing, and then putting that in a format where, my massage therapists that I work with are like, oh, you make it sound so easy. I thought it was so hard. So a teacher. And then mainly though, I think my whole life has been about just seeking out freedom and trying to be free.
I think it's wonderful that you said that because, I think you're the first person I've ever interviewed who has expressed that. And I think that's what most of us are looking for in some way. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think when we're thinking things like, oh, I want to make more money, or I want to have, this type of job or something, I think that is really what's oftentimes at the core of that. I mean, sometimes it could be other things like security or something like that. But I think, especially in the entrepreneurial world, I think freedom, we are a big bunch of freedom seekers for sure.
And it's funny because, that's not the first word that would come to most people's minds. Mm-hmm. People think, oh, I want more time. I want more luxury. I want more, but what does money give you?
Yeah.
Which, except the freedom, the time, the luxury, all of those things that really amount to freedom, ultimately. Freedom to make choices.
Yeah. Freedom to pick up and go on a trip if you want to, or, and yeah, time freedom, I think, is a big one. Even just having somebody that can come and help you with your housework, that's freeing up your time. So yeah, it's just,
I think what you love.
Pervasive. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, you're a creative person, but you're also, I think, kind of a hands-on person. You come from a massage background. Mm-hmm. In my experience, people with massage backgrounds also come from kind of I'm going to say spiritual place, for lack of a better term, although that can range, right? It doesn't have to be like religious per se, or, what some people might consider to be woo, but how does all that inform what you do? All of the ways that you express yourself creatively, but also in your business?
Yeah, I think with the massage thing, there's a whole spectrum. So there's the people that are, energy work and it's all energy. And then you have the people that are very, therapeutic and they don't want anything to do with that. So we have that whole spectrum. For me, I always kind of fell somewhere in the middle of that. Oh, and that's the name of your show. So, like I definitely did the therapeutic work, but brought in the aspects of this art of massage, I guess. And I think it's really interesting, to massage different people all day. Every massage is different. Every person is different. And you create each session for each person, even though you may have a basic protocol or routine, they're never going to be exactly the same. So, and then through doing massage, there's just all kinds of other elements that you can experiment with. And, there's the oils and the products, which I love. There's the music. And then when I had my own business that I was like, oh my gosh, I get to decorate and like create a place. That is really fun as well.
So even the massage is in and of itself its own creative endeavor, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. And
then you translated that into a business where you are helping other massage therapists now?
I did. Yeah. So after about 16 to 18 years in massage and having, run my own business, worked for other people, run a couple different types of businesses, I just was like, okay, what's next? Um, I had a client tell me the other day actually that 20 years in a job is a lifetime sentence. He goes, oh, you've done one lifetime sentence and you're working on another. So I had done one lifetime sentence and I was like, what am I going to do next? So I just, through running my businesses, I realized how much I loved the marketing and the creativity, even like in planning a menu of services and pricing it and doing spa treatments. So that was something that I really got into as a therapist, doing massage after massage. It's so fun to have that variety in your day. So I was like, you know what? I want to teach other therapists that marketing it's easy, it's fun, and you can do it.
That's awesome, because people do think it's very difficult.
Mhm.
And I think that's maybe, and I'd love to hear your thought on this. I think it's because we view it as you do it and you get an immediate result. And sometimes that happens and other times it doesn't.
Yeah, and that can get really frustrating when you're like, I did some stuff and people didn't call yet, so it's definitely not working. Well, it is working. Things just take time.
What do you think is the biggest challenge to helping people get over their, I'm going to call it a fear of marketing, although that may not be the best word. I don't know.
I definitely think it's a fear. Yeah, people, we're afraid of like embarrassing ourselves, putting ourselves out there and maybe getting shut down, doing something wrong. So there's a lot of different things. I think for me, it's sharing, like, there are so many ways to do marketing that you can find things that feel good to you and work for you. And you don't have to do anything that doesn't resonate, that feels icky to you. You don't have to do that kind of marketing. So I think just the fact that it can be really customized.
And you don't have to be everywhere.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If you have 2 marketing activities that are working, just keep doing those. Maybe you like going to the Chamber of Commerce meetings and talking to people in person. And, and then there's other aspects to it. There's like faster marketing, slower marketing. So
what's when you're dealing with massage therapists, because many of them I would imagine are like, I work with authors primarily, right? And authors write books. Some of them may be experts in marketing. Others are experts in whatever they're experts in.
Yeah.
And so you're teaching them this new thing. What is one of the biggest things that they say, oh, this is terrible, I don't want to do this?
Probably creating any kind of like marketing materials. So because, you're a massage therapist, you're not a graphic designer. That's out of your wheelhouse. So things like that. And then knowing what to say, like we would all just love to show up at our office and have 5 clients every day. Not have to go do any of that. So I think it's just knowing what to say. And so I have, through my courses, I try to get everybody really clear. Like once you know who your ideal client is, knowing what to say is 10 times easier because you're not talking to the entire world. So.
And I think that's challenging too, though, right? Because, I asked that question of my authors when we're working on a book marketing plan. And they're like, oh, well, everybody will like my book. Well, yeah, everybody might like your book.
Yeah.
And how are you going to talk to everybody? So you pick some folks. How do you get that message across to your massage therapists?
Yeah, so one example I like to use is to think about the clients you already have And who are the ones that when you see them on your schedule, you're like, yes, I get to see that person today. Because that's probably a really good clue. And then who are the people where you're kind of like, oh, that person's a little bit difficult? Or, like if I had a schedule full of men who wanted specific deep tissue work, I would not be happy. I like working with women who they want to relax, they want to take care of themselves. And so, it's just kind of like, who do you prefer is how I phrase it. Because we're not going to rule anybody out. If you're a non-ideal client calls you, you can still put them in your schedule.
Well, and that's really interesting that you put it that way. Who do you prefer to work with? Because there is something very tangible about saying, well, this person wants this type of massage and it is not my preference.
Yeah.
Or maybe, and this is, again, I know so little about the mechanics of massage. I just know when I go, I feel great afterwards. But I would imagine that it requires different physical requirements to do deep tissue, sports type massage or whatever, versus something that's more of a, I want to have a relaxing session. Yeah. So there may be different things that people take into consideration. What kinds of things do massage therapists take into consideration when they are making decisions about the clients that they want to work with?
Yeah, certainly, what type of massage do they want to do all day? What's their, are they also a personal trainer? Do they really, a lot of people are like, I just want to work with athletes. That's amazing to me. And like, I'm the total opposite of that. So I think it's kind of just saying, like, if you could plan your ideal day, how many clients would you have? What types of services would you do all day? Like for me, I'm like, well, I would have some variety. I'd have 2 massages, 2 facials, one other body wrap or something. Some therapists hate that. They're like, that's so much work to switch between service and get out all those goopy products. So it really just, I think if you think about like, and we often don't think from this place because we can't even comprehend that we could have whatever we want. It's like, we think we just take whatever we get.
And now you're hitting on something I'm really curious about. Are most of your clients, that you work with in your business, women or men?
Well, mostly women for massage and for my marketing and training business. And that's because the massage industry is probably 80% women.
Okay.
Yeah. And then clientele, I just prefer to work with women.
Well, and so I wonder about what you said about we never imagined that we could have what we want, that we could just choose. And I always wonder how much of that is about being women, because there's kind of sometimes a stigma, I think, when women ask for what they want. It's very, and then society says, well, why didn't you ask for it? If you don't get what you want, why didn't you ask for it? The men asked for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think men struggle with that in the way that we do. So
that's really, to me, that's an interesting concept. I always feel like girls in particular are discouraged from expressing their preferences. And as a result, we grow up into women who don't ask for what we want. Although I like to think this younger crew of young women are definitely more into asking for what they want. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I see that in my daughter. She's 25 and she has many less hangups than I have. And then they have some different ones.
Yeah. But I also wonder if there's just a generation gap too that we're dealing with. Yeah. Because there's the complaint that the millennials they feel so entitled and things of that nature. And I wonder if they've just seen what I want to call challenges that we've experienced in our careers and trying to build lives for them, for those kids. And they're like, I don't want that. I don't like the way mom and dad or mom or dad struggled. Yeah. You know what I mean? To make things nice for me. And I want to do something different for myself.
I do. And I mean, I think every generation does that. You know, you see, and you want something different than what your parents had. So,
Well, that's what the whole flower power movement was about back in the day, right?
yeah. And so I don't know, does it keep going in a circle?
An
The
infinity
next
loop.
generation was like, we want a house. And we don't want to live like this.
We don't want to live in vans.
Now my daughter's generation, she's actually lived in a van for a year and a half.
You know, and it's so funny because then I look and I see that freedom, and that exactly taking us back to where we were before. I see that freedom of, hey, I'm just going to go on the road for however long, and I'm going to experience life in a totally different way. And I'm like, oh, that's lovely.
And it was so interesting though, to kind of, you know, I was talk to her regularly while she was doing that. And there's nothing that doesn't have its challenges. You know, it seems really cool and awesome. And she had some amazing experiences, but it's stressful to be homeless.
Yeah.
And when you're living in a van, like she chose it, but she was still homeless and had to deal with a lot of those types of issues. Like, am I going to be safe tonight? And things like that. So, yeah.
And those are things that I've thought about, because at one point I'm like, maybe I'll go ahead and get a, you know, RV, small RV or something like that, and just travel around. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. How did you feel as a mom? Because they're grown, but you're still a mom.
Oh, I worried. I worried a lot, you know, but luckily I could text her almost everywhere she was. I could just be like, you know, are you okay? I would check in a lot. Like, as long as I heard from her, I was good. But, you know, you don't want to see your child struggling, but I'm also thinking, oh my gosh, this is so good for her to go through these experiences and really learn everything she's learning. And I'm proud of her. You know, she's getting to do things I didn't get to do. So, yeah.
But as a parent, I know for me, even just seeing my kids, and my kids are taking pretty traditional routes so far. But even just that, you know, as a parent, you want to let them go. You want to let them go do what they're going to do. And one of them made decisions where I was like, I would have hoped you'd have done that differently, but you still have to let them choose their paths. I think that's one point where, as parents, and maybe moms in particular, I don't know, but it feels like such a challenge. Well, first of all, is she still on the road?
She's not. She's living in Colorado.
Okay.
And they may go travel again in the fall and then move home. So, yeah, home.
Awesome. Well, I'm curious because I'm curious about the whole experience. So when they decided to settle back home or somewhere, not back home yet, not with you yet, but when they decided to settle back somewhere, how was that transition for them? And how did you feel now that that was over? What, you know, how did you play into that whole transition?
I mean, it was a relief to know that she had a home and a front door with a lock on it. And she picked a cool town, you know, and they just wanted to experience living somewhere different. I think their plan has always been to move back here, but you know, they said they don't want to have kids young. They want to experience things and do different things. So I'm excited for her and proud of her. And, you know, she's had different experiences at different jobs and just lots of good adulting.
Well, and I'm a firm believer that everybody needs to leave their hometown at least for a year after high school, or I think preferably high school and before college. I think college is wasted on 18-year-olds, but but I think it's such a great experience. So did you have any takeaways from her experience?
Well, my biggest takeaway would be, if you are going to go traveling, I think you stay in campgrounds. And they wanted to go for as long as they could and save money, which meant they were looking for a lot of free places to stay. But I also think it was really interesting that, it's like this big dream that a lot of people have. And in general, that, reality doesn't usually match expectations.
Well, it seems like it's a little bit, so what kind of vehicle were they in?
They were in just a van, one of those taller vans.
Okay.
Her husband is real tall.
Like a camper van.
But it was like a work van, and they built it out into a camper van.
Nice. So they created a moving tiny home.
Yeah. And they built it together. And now my daughter is working at a company that builds vans.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And she does like the consulting with people that want to build their van and helps them pick out the stuff that goes in it.
So she would be the person I would call if I decided to do that.
And they'll build you a custom van.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like they gained a lot of really great experience. One of the things that you learned was, if you want to do it, go to a campground. Do you mind if I ask some of the kinds of challenges that they experienced?
Well, so getting sick was one of the hardest things. I think twice they got sick with like a stomach bug. Well, their van doesn't have a bathroom. So that's super challenging. And, that's when it's handy to have a mom, because we would say, go get a hotel. I'll send you the money. So I definitely think, there are just some things that when you're thinking of that lifestyle, you might not realize, like, where am I going to take a shower? What happens if I need to run to the bathroom and I don't have one, But I also think those are the experiences where you just learn so much self-reliance, and that you can figure it out, and that you can do hard things. And I also think one of the biggest challenges was, Grace never didn't have somewhere to be and something to do. She went from high school to college to traveling, and it was like all of a sudden she had no structure. No job, no class to be at, no paper to turn in, no, activity she was supposed to be at. And I think that was probably her biggest challenge, was just really planning each and every day and having to kind of regulate yourself.
But, I think that's interesting because, I had kids all three of my kids are overdoers. They are overachievers, not all type A personalities, but they all are overachievers in their own ways, where their days are just stacked. And I kind of feel like that's such a stressful way for us to move through life, and it can create habits that are detrimental to our health. But that's kind of US culture, right? Structure, lots to do, lots of activities, lots of, assignments. Would you say that maybe having a little bit less structure actually maybe helped her not get that addiction to these wins that we get throughout the day? I think it's kind of a dopamine addiction.
I think so. And I also think it really helped her. And now I just feel like she's got really good boundaries with with her work schedule and with doing things. She's like, I like to have my days off, and I'm not going to get myself in a situation where I don't have my days off. And I've always been like, oh, I have 4 jobs. I just work. So,
which goes back to what I was saying before. I think this young group, mine are between 20 and 30. And they have a totally different vibe about them. And I feel like I've been learning so much from them about how I want to live this phase of my life. You mentioned basically you were looking for your next phase when you started these businesses, this other business. How has that changed the structure of your life?
Yeah. So going from, having to be somewhere every day to now I work from home, and I definitely, I struggle with getting things done because there's always something else to do, you know, like I have a whole list for today, but I just moved my Christmas tree. Like, I don't like it there. I want it over there. And of course, half the ornaments fell off. So my dog needs a walk. I hear her pacing right now. So it is hard, and working from home is so much the dream for so many people. And I wouldn't trade it. But, it has its daily challenges. And some days, I'm super productive
Yeah.
and I'm like organized and I get it all done. And so I really try to just tune into my energy and trust myself that I'll get the important things done and keep moving forward.
Well, and
So,
that's really important. What you said there, I think is really tuning into your energy. I have been working remotely or working strictly from home for since before the pandemic, since significantly before the pandemic. And at first, I kept a very strict structure. I will be up at this time. I will get to my computer by this time. I will only be away from my computer for this amount of time, and then I'll be back at my computer. It was very much like working in the office, only worse because my office was right outside my bedroom door.
yeah.
Right. And at some point, I realized that's no way to structure my life because it's basically an 18-hour workday at that point.
Yeah.
Because you never just get done with dinner and say, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch a movie, right? Or all the things that you would do when you left an office.
Mhm.
You actually feel obligated to do more. So it really has just been the last several months where I've said, you know what? I'm not going to continue that grind, and I think it's a healthier approach to things. So, and this is the point I'd like to hear from you about specifically, that part about your energy. Is there some part of that that is like, yeah, I need to get this done. However, I am not feeling that this is the right thing to do in this moment.
Mhm.
Therefore, my energy is telling me to do something else. And I know that sounds a little convoluted, but does
Yeah.
that make sense what I just asked?
It does. And you really have to get to know yourself really well and know like when you're feeding yourself a line of crap and being lazy versus when you really need to take a break and do something that's going to recharge your batteries. So I guess the energy thing is like, okay, am I really like, I guess, are my batteries really low right now? And do I need to recharge them? Because there's always stuff to do that you don't want to do. Even though I love my business, there's always like, oh, I should do my bookkeeping. I should answer these emails. There's always those things. So,
Right.
and just, so I think the energy is more like, what's the right thing? What's the right thing for me to do right now? And I think that's something you get from your higher self. Because sometimes my higher self says, get this project done.
Yeah. And sometimes your higher self says, you didn't sleep enough last night. You need a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last week,
That's
I
really
spent 2
important.
days in bed.
And if you know what's funny is people will sometimes try to make you feel guilty, I think, if you aren't like just grinding it out every single day, no matter how you feel, particularly here in the United States. I don't know that in other countries they do that to people. But I think that then we go through so many years of that from a regular job that when we go into our businesses, we come with that same mindset. How do you work with your massage therapists to help them kind of overcome that? I'm going to call it anxiety about not doing enough.
Well, and that is one of the harder things is, because they're self-employed. So I think it's figuring out, like these are the marketing activities that you want to do. When are you going to do them? And have some structure there. But I think there's a real, and it's a scarcity mindset when you feel like, oh, if this person wants a massage on Saturday, I guess I better work on Saturday, instead of trusting that, you can fill your schedule on the days of the week that you want to work. So I just think it's a mindset shift of being in trust that you'll be okay, even if you choose to take that time off and take that time for yourself.
And so do you get to spend a lot of time working on those other mindset pieces with your clients as opposed to kind of just the mechanics of things?
Well, I kind of sneak it in. It's part of the conversation. I found that people don't usually want to sign up or pay for, hey, let's talk about mindset. At least that hasn't been my experience. So I'm like, okay, let me show you how to get the clients in the door, make the money you want to make. And then the mindset is just a part of that whole conversation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because it feels intangible, and yet that's actually the basis of so many of the issues that I think we experience as business people.
Yeah. But I think every time you get a win, you start to build up that trust muscle that, it will be okay. And one thing you made me think of is, for so many years, I worked multiple jobs. And I think, though, if I look at that goes back to if money equals freedom and I want a lot of freedom, then I'm going to work all these jobs to make all this money. And meanwhile, I'm completely having no freedom.
The paradox. That is the ultimate paradox. Yeah. And that's, unfortunately, I think that's what's encouraged. We work. And yeah, you can rest when you're,
Dead.
80. Well, dead. That's actually the phrase, but I was trying to be gentle on us, but yeah, I think that's really a fundamental issue that we have because it reinforces that paradox. Like, okay, you want to make money, work, but also, you're supposed to enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
We really are supposed to enjoy life. And it's very hard to enjoy life when you're spending most of your time shuttling amongst 4 jobs.
Yes, and thankfully that was quite a while ago. But I would also say, though, that another kind of paradox is when you really love your work. I'm like, do I have to stop? Because then it's like, well, I'm supposed to rest. I'm supposed to knock off at 5 or 6 p.m. And I'm like, I want to do this.
Well, yeah, and then it's what feeds your soul.
Yeah.
If that especially because you've got a creative outlet, right? Creativity can be expressed in so many different ways. And I argue that business is a creative endeavor.
Yeah.
And particularly different types of businesses, but all businesses require creativity, ingenuity, resourcefulness. It's not just grinding out, even if I don't care if you're a dry cleaner or if you're a plumber or if you do marketing. Yeah. All of those businesses require all those different elements. And if that creativity and ingenuity and problem solving and all that feeds your soul, to some extent, you kind of do want to do it 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do. Like, sometimes I get annoyed. I even have a couple of coaching clients will be texting each other. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired of this vacation. I got so many things I want to be doing.
So then you have to find another way to have a creative outlet, maybe go to the beach and build a huge sand castle.
Do something productive. So
get that creativity out. So Gail, if you had 3 pieces of advice for a brand new entrepreneur, what would they be?
I would do the have a good think about your ideal day. What would your ideal day be? And then you can use that as kind of a filter if something comes along that doesn't fit into that picture, have those boundaries from the beginning, because you'll build up what you want a lot faster. So the other one would be consistency. Show up, just keep moving forward. Some days it'll be in small amounts, some days it'll be big leaps, some days you'll have big wins, but it's so easy to get discouraged and feel like it's not working, and put it on the shelf for a few weeks or a few months, or even give up altogether. So just that consistency, and celebrate your wins, even if they're small. I use a certain system for my website called Kajabi, and I picked it out because I was like, I want something I can do myself. I don't want to do everything myself, but I want something where I can. And there's a big learning curve with anything like that. So when I figure something out and make a pretty web page, I try to do something to celebrate. And the people around you are going to be like, okay, whatever, we don't know what you're talking about. So you have to celebrate yourself.
I think that's awesome. Those are great pieces of advice, because I think it's really hard for entrepreneurs, especially new ones just starting out. You are feeling so insecure in some ways, So thank you for those pieces of advice. Gail, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yep, just come to my website. It is elevatewithgael, GAEL.com. And you can check out my blog, see what I have going on, and download my free ebook on decluttering your schedule so that you have more time to work on your dreams and do the things that you want to do.
Well, and by the way, Gail's website is beautiful, and it is helpful and contains tons and tons and tons of really good information. I encourage you guys to go to her website, elevatewithgael.com. Gael Wood, thank you so much for being on Somewhere in the Middle of Michelle.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that's our show this month, guys. You can reach me online at michelleberard.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as Urban Book Editor. Feel free to send in some topics you'd like us to cover on the show. Send me a note. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you tune in to the show on August 18th, when my guests will be Rufus Stevens and Connie Johnson, co-founders of Daddy Daughter Books. You can find us once a month on Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern at the somewhereinthemiddlepodcast.com. Let's continue the conversation. You guys be good, stay mindful, and remain prayerful. Peace and blessings, y'all.